It's a pretty cool boat to be on.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It feels like you're driving a tank down the street. This car does all that and probably more, dude.
I like when a car gives you a feeling. I'm sitting back, chilling, blasting music. I want the windows down. I want the sunroof open. It's like taking this down to San Diego would be cool.
Windows down, sunroof up.
Yeah.
All right, yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Wheels in Business podcast. My name is Ruben. This is my brother Luis. Today we're sat in a G63 AMG, and we're basically going to go over what we like about this car. This is our first time driving this car, the first time renting it out. And yeah, there's a lot to say here because this has been one of the goal cars for a good while now. We've always wanted a fucking G-Wagon. So kind of just tell me your initial reaction to getting in the car and driving it.
Here's the thing, right? I know it's not a sports car.
Yeah.
Right? I think when we drove the Urus, is kind of where the confusion was. One thing right off the bat is the step up.
Yeah.
Just to get into the car. So it's got the little step on the side so you can get on. But the car's not high enough that I can't just step into it.
Yeah.
But also it is slightly high that so far I've gotten into the car I think 6 times. I still don't know what the right way to go is.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but that was right off the bat. Second one, you expect to be high and you feel high in this car. You're looking down at most other cars.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Driving wise, I'm in comfort right now. It feels fucking comfortable.
Yeah.
So a big part that we've had a hurdle with this podcast is we typically drive sports cars. Yeah. And so having this camera mounted, for the most part, it's always shaking because suspensions are so hard and stiff on the GT4 and the C63 and so on and so on. And this car, man, I've been taking all the streets. I didn't even care where I'm driving. Typically we have a route where we go so that I know the roads are pretty smooth so that the camera isn't shaking. In this car, I'm on the highway right now. I don't care. So it's comfortable. And then you put it in sport and you feel the difference.
Yeah.
It's got the power. You feel the weight on the car. It's a pretty cool boat to be on. Yeah. Not gonna lie. And to kind of what you said is this car has been kind of we've always said this is gonna be our big SUV car when we get to that point. Yeah. It's always been this and then a sports car.
Yeah. Would be the ideal combo.
Yeah, would be the perfect combo. So honestly, I would say it surpassed kind of the expectations just because of the feeling you get. It's got a presence on the road. Everyone's kind of turning eyes, which is funny because in Irvine, G-Wagons are Honda Civics. Yeah. They're everywhere. Yeah. But even then, you still get, a bunch of the broken necks of everyone staring at you. Yeah. That or maybe all the fucking cameras we got.
Yeah, one or the other.
But yeah, no, I love this car. I think I drove it for 2 minutes. I was like, yep. So want it, need it.
1000%. To give you my reaction, I drove it first. I ended up taking it off the lot. And I daily drive a GLC 63, right? So it's a small SUV, fast as hell, 500 horsepower, whatever, right? And that
How much horsepower does this push?
I believe these push close to 600. I know it pushes more than the GLC. Okay. This is, I think, the same power as a GLE 63S. So it's in that realm. I'm slightly low. I think mine pushes 470. Yeah. But I will say my car feels way faster. I got into it and instantly I was like, oh, okay. I got kind of moved the steering a little bit. I was like, all right, it's a boat in here for sure. Yeah. I can definitely feel the weight on the car. But then I instantly noticed, this interior is way nicer. It has the same steering wheel as my C63. It has this bar right here, which I probably will never use, but it's a flex just to have a bar there.
Well, because this can be used for off-road.
Yeah, so they have the bar. It's kind of like Jeeps. I think Jeeps also have the bar or whatever. But instantly, and then I pressed the brake for the first time after I took off, and I was like, oh, definitely not as reactive as my GLC 63 or my C63.
Which I think there, though, is the weight difference.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah, I think my GLC 63 weighs about 4,000 pounds, which is honestly what a heavy sports car weighs. It's not that heavy.
This is over 6,000 pounds, right?
This is over 6,000 pounds, so it's
That's
50% more. Yeah. So it's crazy. And my initial reaction was I'm not sure if I like this, this and that. But the more I started driving it, the more I was I don't even want to go fast in this car. I just kind of want to chill. I know one thing I mentioned before was my hand literally lands on the door like super well. Like most cars, when you put your hands to the side, your hand's kind of going out the window or whatever it is. But this has like a designated spot for like your elbow that
like
just
the
feels,
width on these doors is like thick, so it's got that space there.
Feels super natural, feels super comfortable, and like, yeah, the more I drove it on the freeway, on the street, anywhere, I was like, okay, I see the gist with it. You know, like it's a comfortable daily driver.
It's a vibe.
I will say the sound system, you know, I own 2 Mercedes, so I already know how good the sound system is.
Yeah.
Vibrates absolutely everywhere with the bass. Ambient lighting, you know, like it's just modern tech. I can definitely see why people absolutely love this car and why so many people have it.
Yeah.
I can also see why it's considered like the wife car. You know, like the rich guy buys his wife, you know, a G-Wagon.
I think it just does so many things right.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Like you take the price out of the equation, you know, and just kind of put it for an SUV. You've got the space. The trunk has nice depth. It's got height. If you need to put anything in there, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Like you see this car, and sometimes like with some luxury, expensive cars like that are sporty, it leans more one way than the other, and then it's just not doing anything right because it's trying to do too many things at once. But like, man.
So do you think that the car lives up to the hype?
Yeah.
1,000%. And I agree. Sure. Yeah, it was definitely. I think I had to let it simmer a little bit. Right as I started driving, I think I originally went into it trying to drive it like my GLC63, and then I was like, no, it's a different car. It's not meant for that. And then on top of that, it's just, I don't know if you should be flying, you know, trying to race a 6,000-pound tank. I would say that. That's the specific word I kind of wanted to say. It feels like you're driving a tank down the street.
Yeah.
Like it feels
like... You
like...
play video games and you've been in a tank and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you're running over everything and you barely like move. That's
like honestly, it would feel like if someone smacked me in this car, I'd be like... all right, well, whatever, you know, like let me assess the damage, you know, and their car's like destroyed and then this car's like whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like a tank in a very good way. Again, kind of like how you mentioned, right? You're kind of looking down at almost everybody. Like even like this car right next to us, like it feels like we're slightly bigger. Yeah. And that's a Traverse that's huge. It's like a big family car, but it still feels like we're on top of them.
I think the one thing that to add on to it is that it has the sporty vibe. This one, not so much, and I think stock, not so much, but like the sound out of this car.
Yeah.
It's got that AMG sound.
Oh, 1,000%.
So like, and again, this one, it still sounds nice, but with an exhaust.
Yeah.
And then the cool factor too is like the exhaust pipes come out the side.
Yeah.
2 exhaust pipes on like the side or rear of the car, and it just looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
So like, if I could get, you know, a nice, I think the 2 mods I would do on this whenever I get it is definitely the exhaust first, because I need it louder. And then the car itself does a really good job of like insulating the sound. So like you don't really get outside sound in too much.
Yeah.
So it's only gonna be loud on the outside. Cool. I want other people to hear me loud. I don't want to hear myself loud. And then like wheels. I think for me, my biggest like turn off with the car is because of where I live. They're everywhere. And generally, I don't like having cars that are like, you know, seen
super
everywhere.
Common.
Yeah, like super common. But given this is like a different kind of a flavor of a car,
vibe,
you know, and vibe and kind of use case.
Yeah.
I think I'm all right with it because if I can get like some baller MV4s, like polished chrome wheels to just really make it pop.
Yeah.
I think I'd be sold. The one thing as I'm turning, I told it too. Do other Mercedes have this?
I'm pretty sure.
I've got to say yes.
Yeah,
right? But basically, right, so these are comfort seats.
Yeah.
And they're bolstered. And so like they kind of hug you, so they feel nice, right? Again, you're really high up, so any turn, you feel the body roll real quick. Well, this car, and I'm sure this is a common thing, I just haven't had the experience before, the bolsters are like dynamic. So as you turn, the bolster in here hugs you.
It's on the opposite side of whatever you're turning.
Yeah, to hold you in, right?
Yeah.
And I keep feeling it as like a punch. Like someone's punching me like, you know, in the rib cage. And like as I was turning right there, I just felt it like grab me in. It's cool. I get what it's doing, because I also don't want to be flying around on the seat, you know, when I'm turning like that. Because I've been in regular cars where like, especially if the seats are leather, your ass just slides off sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? And you don't want that, obviously. But like, I think it's a bit too sensitive. I'm sure it's something you can adjust and whatnot. But like, I'm nitpicking at this point.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Use case. What exactly would you use this car for? Like, define every aspect that this car does great and how you would use it on your daily life.
So for me, this is a family car for me.
Okay.
This is like, have the kids and the dog.
Yeah.
You know? Because even groceries, fuck, man, I get groceries in my Porsche now. But like, this is definitely like a long trip. You want the dog. This would probably be the car, honestly, that may be the dirtiest of them all. You know?
Yeah.
This is where like the kids fucking drop crumbs and shit. The dog maybe fucking pierces through the leather.
Something happened.
You know, some shit like that where I'm like, that's like a beater car, which is sad to say on a 6-figure car, but like, I think this is what that would be it. And to be fair, I mean, again, these came from like military times, you know?
Yeah.
These cars are meant to be beat around.
Yeah.
And supposedly they can take a lot. I know we've seen stories where like they can't take that much, apparently. Yeah. But I mean, fuck, it's a Mercedes. You can buy, you just get the fucking warranty and you're good.
Yeah, and everything kind of fixes itself.
What about you?
I will say, kind of very similar, right? I currently own a C63 and a GLC 63, so I daily drive the GLC 63 almost every single day. Mm-hmm. And that car does its job very well, which is just, I need it for when I have space, for when I need space. I need it to just be comfortable, and I need it to be slightly quick. I want to be able to overtake someone on the freeway if I have to.
Yeah.
And I will say this car does all that and probably more, dude. Honestly, I enjoy this significantly more just because it feels a lot more luxurious in here. Yeah. I think the 2020 and up of these G-Wagons kind of went to the next level, because if you know anything about Mercedes, like prior to like 2019, their interior was getting outdated. Like very, very outdated. Yeah.
Their infotainment system was fucking from the dinosaur age.
Yeah, so this is definitely a huge step up. It has the ambient lighting everywhere. The leather feels, I mean, it feels good. Everything in here feels great. There's only one spot, and I mentioned it a little while ago, that I'm just kind of like, oh, I know that's gonna get nasty, which is this little black, like plastic trim where the seat adjustments are.
And that's a Mercedes thing.
That's yeah. So we used to have a CLA 45 AMG, and that one in the middle had this exact plastic. All the center console was made of the black plastic, and it got super ugly by the end of it. Granted, it is a very small part, and it's like somewhere that you're not really gonna be directly looking
touching at all the time. You're not touching that also all the time.
Everywhere else is just leather, carbon fiber, and then I fucking love this aluminum trim that it has right here.
Yeah, like this like flat aluminum.
Yeah, and then the steering wheel. The steering wheel for me is my favorite part. Yeah. Right? I have that in my C63, but it was like walking in here and seeing that, I was like,
It's funny, that's the first thing I said. I'm like, damn, I miss having a steering wheel like this, because it's nice for a different reason, but like it's plain, you got no controls on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a sports car. It feels like just race car.
Yeah, like on this one, you want the convenience. You got the paddle shifters.
Yep.
You got every fucking button to do everything inside this car.
So tell me about, obviously this would be the gold car. What other cars would you consider in this price range, which is the 150 to 200K mark?
So how much is this like on average? Like not a crazy spec one.
150 to 200. 150 is honestly where you can get them at nowadays without a crazy spec.
Like, let's name the other cars, right? You've got the RSQ8.
Yep, which is just an off-branded Urus.
Yep. You got a Urus. That Urus technically out of the price tag
compared to like Rolls Royces and such.
Yeah. You got a Range Rover.
Yeah.
Now, if you really care more about the luxury than you do about the sport, you've got like the Lincoln Navigators. Yeah. You've got the Escalades. You know, we obviously lean more towards the sporty side, so like those by default are out.
Yeah.
So then really it kind of just leaves this, an RSQ8. How much is the Aston Martin?
Those are 6 figures. No, it's probably the same price, around 150.
Those are cool because you don't see them that much.
Yeah.
But I think realistically, if I'm putting myself in a real world scenario, whenever I get to that point,
yeah,
these hold their value so well.
Yeah, it's just...
They hold their value, like financially, it makes a ton of sense.
And tax-wise,
the taxes on this, the depreciation you can take on this. Yeah, I think just financially and just kind of like use case-wise, I think it just makes the most sense. The RSQ8, I'm not a fan of the new interior on Audi because they have a ton of that black gloss, you know? And that black gloss is just, it's like terrible to maintain. It's like, yeah, no. So, like, I honestly don't really see another, like, viable option that I think I would get.
Yeah, and then that's also considering, I mean, we've bought so many Mercedes at this point.
I really like it.
Yeah, I love them. As like, daily drivers, like, Mercedes has always done it right for us. I've looked at BMWs, and I've rented a BMW, I think it was an X6 before. And I will say, beautiful inside, leather feels amazing, but it feels very much simplistic compared to this.
Here's the thing, though, right? If I had to choose between a GLE and an X6M, I would take the X6M.
Okay.
Not a G-Wagon. I think a G-Wagon, and I think because a G-Wagon leans more towards an SUV than it does sporty. Whereas I think the X6M leans more sporty than it does SUV.
Well, I think even the GLE is actually I don't know. No, that's more SUV, huh?
Yeah, the GLC is more sporty.
Yeah,
that's why I would choose an X6M over even a GLE 63.
Those look aggressive and they look more like sports cars.
Yeah,
it gives it that sports car feel to it, you know.
I mean, because think about it, right? You see a G-Wagon on the street, you don't think sporty.
And that goes for the base model or the 63.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of just think G-Wagon. You just think, damn, that's a tank driving down the road, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. I think this definitely has. This isn't really classified as a sports car.
I guess it's hard, right? Because if you think about it, I think the Range Rover really is the only true like apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
And I think for someone like us that like likes cars and sporty and all this shit, I think we just like this just makes a ton more sense. I think for the guy who's become successful and wants a family car and is never really into like the exotic cars or like the speed and shit like that, they lean more towards the Range Rover.
This is a lot more like wow factor.
Yeah,
in comparison to the Range Rover,
it's more of a statement.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this before, but like base Range Rover and then the fully spec'd out one, which by the way, cool Porsche. It's so broad, the price. It like one of them starts at 70, 80 and the other one is damn near 200K. And I swear to you, like if I had to look at them, aside from like maybe looking at the wheels, because I feel like you can tell the trim level off of just wheels.
Yeah. But
don't look at the wheels, just look at the actual car itself. I can't tell much of a difference.
Yeah.
There's obviously the extended ones, which you're like, all right, that one has to be a little more expensive. But for the most part, I can't tell the difference from the majority of Range Rovers on their price point. With a G-Wagon, I can see the 63 in the back and instantly like the car just looks a lot more bulkier. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the big boy AMG right there.
Yeah.
But name me a couple of pros and cons that you have about this car.
I'll start with the cons. The first con is, again, this is very specific. They're just everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, I think just given for what the car is going to be and all that stuff, I think I'm all right with that. If it were my sports car, absolutely no.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I think the pros, I honestly love the feeling on the inside. And I've always told you this from like a long time ago.
Damn.
That's a nice Porsche.
Yeah.
I need to love the interior of a car more than I love the exterior.
And I've come to understand that more and more as I grow up.
Yeah. And so in this car, as soon as you get in, and again, this is probably more of a Mercedes thing. I've always loved how Mercedes does their interior.
Yeah.
Their infotainment system, the tachometer, like everything in here, I just love the way it is. I'm not the biggest fan of a ton of carbon, and there is a lot of carbon in here, but it's pretty subtle.
Yeah.
It's not like your C63 where it has this huge fucking sheet of carbon in the middle.
Subtle jab.
You know, I'm not a fan of that. So like this is like sprinkled enough. I love the red leather.
Yeah.
I think my favorite leather today, honestly, I think is that off-white one.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would want. So interior, solid. Sound system, solid.
Yeah.
It's got a sunroof. If you know anything about me, I've always been all about the fucking sunroof.
Aggressive women on that car. I will say, let me mention one thing, and I'm curious if you've noticed it. The click on the doors.
What do you mean the click?
You don't notice when you open the door, it's like a tank click.
Oh, yeah,
They used to call it like that. G-Wagons are primarily known for that back in the day because they were originally supposed to be military vehicles.
Well, they were used though.
Yeah, they were used in the military. And then it just somehow became this car that, everyone started kind of driving. But they have this notorious click when you open the doors or just even press to unlock, you hear it.
Yeah.
Like you literally hear you know, like something like that. And Mercedes has decided to keep that through all this time because that was such a staple for the car.
I mean, even to close it.
Yeah.
You can't you gotta almost slam the fucking door. Because if you just give it like a regular, not a light, a regular close like you would close any other one, the doors won't close.
So I feel like that right there would be, it's either a very pro for you or a con for you. For me, it's a pro. I love it. I love the car it makes, or the noise it makes. But I can see for like someone who's just trying to be a little more subtle, someone who doesn't really like all the drama, I can see how they wouldn't like that. Another pro would be, like you were saying, kind of the interior. Everything in Mercedes just feels very well put together. Yeah. It looks amazing. I fucking love this red leather. Yeah, this is the first time I'm in a Mercedes that has red leather. I will say, I guess, kind of a con. Yes and no. It kind of just leans one way. Again, getting in was weird. I'm tall enough to do it, again, like the way you said, I'm tall enough to do it in one step if I wanted to, but it's like, it's in a weird position. Yeah. So that would definitely be a con. Other than that, I will say this is slightly awkward. What? Like the spacing here.
So again, right? The spacing in this car is kind of weird because again, like you're back the way you would regularly.
Yeah, and there's not
there's not that much space behind your seat.
Yeah.
You know? Again, the trunk has a good depth of space, but don't you want more of the space in here than you do back there?
I think that goes for the design of the car, though.
Yeah, because it's so boxy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I would imagine, like, the reason why it's built like this up ahead and everything is just it still has the frame of an actual G-Wagon, you know?
Yeah.
It's still a tank at
It's
the
still
end
an
of the day.
off-roading car. I mean, you see the buttons here to change the
differential and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
do you think you could take a long trip in this car?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's really, really comfortable.
It is.
When you put it in sport, definitely exhaust gets a little bit louder and you can actually feel like the road a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for the most part, I have zero complaints this whole time you've been driving.
Yeah.
This feels
amazing. And then this one has like the star headliner.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they installed that after.
Yeah, that's after.
But I mean, it looks amazing. Dope. It looks dope.
Personally, I'm a big fan of like OEM Plus, meaning like you don't really change things that much.
Yeah.
This is a Rolls Royce thing, like period. So I get this car's expensive. You can do whatever the fuck you want to it. I'm not a big fan of making changes like this.
Yeah.
But I can just, and maybe I'll change my fucking mind tonight. You know, once it's nighttime and we got these on, who knows? But yeah, I mean, the long drive I think would be dope in this.
Yeah.
Because I like when a car gives you a feeling, like you personally. I know a lot of people, and there's a good amount of people, right? They buy cars and they like the attention, right? Yeah. Personally, I don't really give a fuck about the attention, but like I get a certain feeling out of driving my car, especially when it's clean and fresh and you know, and stuff like that. And so I know what that feeling is like in my GT4. Getting in this car, I get a feeling, but it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
You know? And it's very much more like I'm sitting back, chilling, blasting music. I want the windows down. I want the sunroof open. You know? It's like taking this down to San Diego would be cool.
Windows down, sunroof up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. The car definitely does everything very well. And
I can see why the G-Wagon has sold so well for so long.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I know I saw a video probably a couple years ago that was talking about, the Porsche Cayenne. But let me explain this real quick. I saw a video a handful of years ago when they were redesigning this car for the 2020 model year. For 2020, they updated the grille to the AMG GTR grille that now every AMG has. The Panamera grille, updated the interior, the infotainment system and everything. And from my understanding, these newer ones handle a lot better than the previous ones. Yeah. The previous ones literally felt like it was like a tank, you know, like you're wobbling left and right.
But it's because that fucking car, Mercedes, didn't update that thing for
such a long
while.
Yeah.
I guarantee if you pull up some 2000s, early 2000s music videos of like Chingy maybe or someone you with some rapper, you would think has a G-Wagon. They looked like that for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I can just imagine like the handling and performance of it was also not touched for such a long time.
Yeah.
But like they sold so well. Every celebrity, like, you know, you saw a G-Wagon, it was like celebrity status.
Yeah.
So they were way overdue. And I mean, fuck, they did really good.
So the Porsche Cayenne, I know your neighbor has one. What is it? The Turbo S?
Yeah, or whatever their high-end version
is. It's basically the highest one. I know that one is the fastest SUV you can get.
Yeah.
So again, that for sure, I think lands more in the realm of where the X6M is. You know, of like it's going for more performance and then it's an SUV secondary.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, would you choose that over this? I know you're a Porsche fanatic and all.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It is, because again, they're not the same.
Yeah.
You know? I think, honestly, and I'd have to try it out. For me, I think maybe it may just be that, like, I've always wanted a wagon, because I kind of... The Taycan electric. The GTS, that car looks mean. But yeah, it's electric. Never get it.
Yeah.
So, I think to your point earlier, it's just, they're not the same. I would definitely choose the Porsche over the BMW or the Mercedes or any of that.
Yeah.
So I think if I got to the point, and here's the other thing, right? When it comes to build quality, Porsche knocks out all of them out the fucking window.
Yeah.
You know, that one's by far the best one. Aesthetically looking, also, I think the best looking one of them all. That is completely biased because every Porsche looks the same. So I don't think it's the same. I'm telling you, I think the only real apples to apples competitor on this is the Range Rover. And I'd choose this over the Range Rover 10 out of 10 times. Can't see myself going away from it. I can probably see myself, like, here's the other part. I don't think the Porsche holds its value as much as well as this does, and it doesn't have the tax benefits that this does. So again, in a real world scenario, I can't ever see myself like swapping out the G-Wagon for the Porsche.
Damn. I mean, this car really does have a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
But we'll pretty much cut it off there. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Peace.